That boy who used to spend days in the garage with only his imagination and a couple hand tools has gotten lost in the grind of the real world. I think it's time we find him. Today's woodworking project is a great little scrapwood idea. Assuming it turns out. Oh no! Yeah, that happened. And this doesn't look like antique amber. I hope it dries better than it looks right now. Fingers crossed. I've had this image kicking around in my head for a couple years now. I saw a set of sconces, rustic, I mean barnwood rustic, with chains in a glass jar, and I loved them. Now, I'm not sure where I'd put them though. So they've been on the back burner for a while, and recently my mind went to Halloween. I mean sconces in a dungeon style Halloween. Cool. A haunted house. Frightening. And then my mind bounced back to my bird feeder where I etched the glass with the beautiful leaves of fall. And, well, this build meets somewhere in the middle of all that. And you can change it all in an instant. For fall, Halloween, Christmas, anything and everything. I love the pinkish and those little nail holes, the dark bleeding out of them. It's rustic gold. And this split up here, I think plays perfectly into what I want. Now, most sconces are just one piece for the back. And that's fine. But these are bowed and bowed bad. And actually, I think cupped is the word we're going for. But we can limit that pretty easily by making the back out of strips. 2, maybe even 3. Giving that rustic built with what we got thing going on. Assuming we can. We'll cut these pieces up real quick at the miter saw. Getting a rough length, I'm going with 16 inches. Then rip at the table saw. I really need to make a straightening jig. It's on my list. My list is probably longer than Santa's at this point. But we can wing it. It is rustic. We have permission to be bad. Taking the straightest edge I find, I run it through, then try to rip that cup in half. Then run through a couple more times to get as close to a 90-degree edge as I can. I'm not too worried though. I think we'll even leave just a hint of space between the slats in the end, like they dried and pulled apart at some point. Now, it's just about finding the right pieces and cutting to a final width. And we need to get a ledge in here. Somewhere, somehow. I really would like the jar to sit down in it though. But there's no easy way to do it. I know I don't have a hole saw big enough. And I don't. A 1/4 inch too small it looks. But first, I need to decide on the width of the shelf. Then cut it down to size 6 1/4 inches. Then track down the cutoffs from the first board. And then I feed the wend. Here is where scrap wood takes a bad turn. If you use scraps and pallet wood, you'll find your bows cupped, bowed, etc. But it's also the best part of using scraps. You get to do more and making something out of nothing, or making something out of a piece of wood that is garbage or destined for the fire pit. It's priceless. If you bought lumber, you're probably done with the build by now. But lucky me, I still have another hour in the shop. Alright, trace the lid, drill some holes, thread the blade through the hole and cut the circle out. If you want an easier route, skip this step. You can just glue or staple the lid down, maybe even a piece of rope around to hide the lid a little. And now we get the fun part, the Corbel. The Corbel is the little bracket that goes underneath the shelf. And man, I wish I could carve. I would totally do dragons for a fantasy look, or skulls for Halloween, or horror stories. My bookcase, you see it all the time. It's only the bare bones at this point. I will get some carvings in there at some point. And I have to remember, this is a sconce that we can change in an instant, so we're going to go fairly basic, but add some rustic flair to it all the same. I think we need it to be thicker than just 3/4 stock. So we'll double up on it, get a little clunkier look. Make the bottom a little longer than its reach. Then use your bandsaw, scroll saw, jigsaw, coping saw, whatever you got, and cut it out to size. Then hit it up at the bench top and sand it to shape. Brace it and cut out to second. Then tight bond 3 and clamp. I sand all the pieces down to 120. I passed on the little gap between the boards, would have had to do a backboard to hold it all together, and I really didn't want to do that. So instead, I just roughly chamfer the edges over at the bench top real quick. Not going for a uniform look. I want that hand-hewed, honed look, and every nook and cranny should hold the stain better and make the shadows come to life. At least I hope. Now, I'm going to add a little to the character of the board, although these two pieces have a lot. Dents, scraps, holes, splits, all on their own. Taking the throwing knife, seriously, I have no idea who has these, but I found it in the old garage when I bought this place 30 years ago. But it works great for splitting the nail holes a little more and adding some cracking and checking in the ends of the boards. Then I add some faux bug bites. Not many though, I tend to get carried away with these, so I have to be careful. Let me zoom in so you can see where we're at. You can see all that beautiful patina we have on this piece. The Corbel dried, I hit it up at the Wen. I'm not going for perfect here, far, far from it. I want that almost worn look, a little lopsided, but not totally, just enough to make you question it. I glue up the back panels and the two shelf pieces and, yeah. Oh, no! Nothing like filming at all. I screwed up. Pushing stuff off to the side in my haste, the Mod Podge fell, lid popped off, and crap. Clean your workshop. Lesson 1. I scoop it up, water it down some more. Then Big Green comes out and I clean that section of the floor. Yes, I know, carpet. But the room is also my game room, my library for friends, families, and if carpet is good enough for Stumpy Nubs, it's good enough for me. Because I never know when enough is enough, I go for watered down black acrylic for splotches of mold and colorization in the wood. Now, when I pull this off, it looks great. When I don't, not so much. Once dryish, I hit it with the golden oak. Not 100% thrilled on the black distressing, if I'm going to be honest. Some of it looks amazing and some others not so much. I do think the stain will smooth it out though as it dries. Onto the mason jar. I saw you can tint it with watered down Mod Podge and food coloring. I didn't have any yellow, only green and blue, so I'm trying gold acrylic here. Mod Podge and water and hoping it dries overnight. And hoping it dries better than what we saw a few minutes ago. I just pour it in and swirl it around to coat the glass, then let it hang out upside down and hope. I'm hoping it comes out a little bit like burnt amber. Now, the idea is that we will light it with LED lights of a sort. On its own, it should look pretty good. But I thought we could put a Halloween silhouette on it, or in it. My first thought was just cut vinyl on the outside, but that would be a mess to get off if you're going to switch for a different season. My next thought was cardstock on the inside, which is where we're at now. I picked up this Cricut a few years ago, using a lot of my Staples rewards, and it's great for things like this. If you don't have it, make your silhouette easier to cut out. Far easier than all these little details I have. All right, and here we are. Wait, what? That's not, look. I love my sconces, and we'll get there in a moment. But I love the idea of this lantern-style bulb even more. And not everyone will want to hang a sconce just to build this thing. So I threw this base together real quick. It's just two squares, one with the hole cut out, the other plain, rounded over edges, and those little 3/4 by 1 inch blocks for legs. CA glued together, and then a quick stain on them. Not a full build, so a bonus build. And now you have a Halloween light that can go anywhere, from bookshelf to tabletop to Halloween favor gift for all those parties you're going to. And if the cutout has you concerned, just flip the mason jar over, cover the top in burlap and twine, or any ribbon you have laying around. Gorgeous. And for that matter, no time for the base. Ditch it all together. You can design around it. No excuse not to at least make this bulb. All right. The sconces. I still need to find a place to hang them. I love the one I made, so for sure I'm going to do another. I currently have just a couple warm LED tea lights in there. I love the flicker and the color of them. This was a fun build, and I didn't know until the very end, this morning in fact, if I had pulled it off. But I think we did. And I love the little bonus build as well. That simple base. I'll probably revisit that, engraving it and make a more finished stand sometime around Christmas time. So, which are you going to build? Going to give this DIY holiday bulb thing a go? As always, thanks for watching and choosing to spend 15 minutes to build with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Until the next time.